Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So it's been more than 50 years now where the last time that Social Security was actually enhanced, but could it instead be 1983 all over again, where we actually see some cuts, raising of the full retirement age and things like that. We are going to cover that because we're just 10 years away from pretty big, pretty substantial cuts across the board, 25% cuts and Social Security benefits. So we are going to cover that in today's video. But before we go ahead and dive into it, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point, once you do link your bank account, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock, is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our first story of today's video. The last time that Social Security was enhanced, the last time we saw increased benefits was more than 50 years ago, but could we instead be facing 1983 all over again, where we actually had some cuts in benefits in the case of raising of the full retirement age? So we're going to be covering this article here first by Yahoo Finance, and then later on we're going to be going over why we could instead actually see enhancements or increasements to Social Security benefits. So according to Yahoo Finance, the coming Social Security fight could be 1983 all over again. So political pressure will almost surely force Washington to shore up the Social Security program before the social safety net faces reduced monthly checks as soon as 2033. But the question is when. Will lawmakers mobilize in the next few years, or will they wait until the proverbial last minute and pay increased costs because of that delay before finding a compromise? The bad news for recipients is the recent history, not to mention rhetoric on the 2024 campaign trail, suggests that procrastination may win out. Washington has made two runs at reform in recent years, one under George W. Bush and another under Barack Obama, but both came up short. That's led some to look further back for lessons about how this coming standoff could play out. Perhaps the most apt historical comparison is what happened in 1983. That was the last time lawmakers successfully implemented large-scale reforms to start off insolvency in the program. What's also notable about the Reagan-era deal is that it barely came together in time. Reduced checks were looming in July of that year. The pact was signed into law in April. So again, 1983 was the last time that reform took place. However, the last time that we actually saw enhancements to the program was more than 50 years ago. Now, obviously, we have different ideas out there. We have different bills out there. Now, one of the bills that's currently out there that has more than 180 co-sponsors is a bill by John Larson. It's called the Social Security 2100 Act. And in this bill, there's actually a lot of enhancements for Social Security beneficiaries. So, for example, one of the increasements would be a 2% increase for everyone across the board that's receiving Social Security benefits. Another one of the increases would be those who are currently receiving the special minimum benefit. Right now, if you receive the special minimum benefit, what you're receiving is actually below the federal poverty level. So it's very hard to get by. It's very hard to pay your rent. It's very hard to pay your bills. However, if the Social Security 2100 Act was passed through Congress and then signed into law, what that would do is it would bump that benefit to 25% above the federal poverty line, which would work out to an increase of right around $500 per month. This is extremely substantial. Another thing that it would do is that it would eliminate the taxation of Social Security benefits at the federal level. This would obviously make it so you keep more of your benefits in each check. Another thing they would also do is it would change the cost of living adjustment to where each year you would actually end up receiving, more than likely, or in most years, you would receive a higher cost of living adjustment. This is because they would use either the CPIW or the CPIE. The CPIE much more closely tracks the goods and services that older Americans, usually spend on, like healthcare costs and things like that. So they use either the CPIW or the CPIE, whichever ended up working out as being a higher amount. So you could receive a higher amount of anywhere between, let's say, like 0.2 to 2% higher every single year. And in this bill, I mean, it does a lot of things for beneficiaries, and there's a lot of support for this bill. Once again, more than 180 co-sponsors, which we are going to cover in just a minute. But here is John Larson saying that we must act now. This is a bill that we must at least vote on. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise this evening with my colleagues to have a discussion about the nation's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly and the nation's #1 anti-poverty program for children. More veterans rely on Social Security disability than they do on the VA. And, Mr. Speaker, we want to make sure that we're addressing this to our colleagues. And since you are in the chair from Minnesota, Mr. Speaker, I want you to know that you have more than 189,000 Social Security recipients in your district, more than 147,000 retirees, more than 20,000 disabled, 8,000 widows, 9,000 children. And here's the key, Mr. Speaker, $335 million a month comes into your district for those Social Security recipients. And where do they spend it? Right back in their district. And yet it's been more than 53 years since Congress has enhanced Social Security. Richard Nixon was President of the United States the last time Social Security was enhanced. Democrats are bound and determined to make sure that we get something simple like a vote here in Congress to help out all of those people in your district, Mr. Speaker, as well as highlight why this is so important. 70 million Americans rely on Social Security. 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Social Security. 40,000 Americans rely on Social Security in and of itself as their primary tenet for retirement. It is the nation's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly and for children. And that's why our colleagues have taken to the floor today so that the American people understand that what's between them and enhancement to this program is a vote on Social Security 2100 that will extend the solvency of Social Security, but as importantly, expand benefits, including making sure that the more than 23 million people that pay taxes on Social Security no longer have to do that. What could be a better bipartisan plan than helping out every single individual in everyone's district and also providing 23 million, not the wealthiest Americans, but the everyday citizens who work week long to provide for their families and pay into a system and haven't received an enhancement in 53 years.
So again, as you can see up on the screen right now, this is the Social Security 2100 Act. And once again, it has 186 co-sponsors at this point in time. Now, for any bill to pass through the House, it would need at least 218 votes, and then in the Senate, it would need at least 60 votes. Now, if you take a look at the bill, once again, all of the co-sponsors happen to be Democrats. And for any bill to pass through Congress, it would need to be bipartisan, so they will need to get some Republican support on this bill. But John Larson, in that recent video, was saying the least we can do is put this bill on the floor for a vote. Yes or no? Are Republicans on board with it? Are Democrats on board with it? He's saying the least we can do is at least vote on this bill, try to save Social Security, and once again enhance benefits. But leave your thoughts and comments below. Is this a bill that you would support? Are there any other changes you would like to see? Leave your thoughts and comments below. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.